Hey guys, it's Ian from ARID USA. I wanted to thank everyone for tuning into this video. This is a quick tutorial on installing our trigger and safety, and it's part of a full-length video that goes over linkage tuning, installing a factory trigger and safety, installing our trigger and safety, the difference between our unit and the factory unit, as well as some changes that you can make to your stock and to your linkage for better performance. This video starts off at the end of the full-length video and just goes over the install with our trigger and safety. If you'd like more information on this topic, please see the full-length video. Thank you. Installing the safety the same exact way as the factory safety, but it is important to note that with our safety, a couple of things. So if I can get this into focus for you guys, let's see. Okay, cool. Can you guys see that? Let's try to get this into focus. Oh, probably doesn't help that I spray painted over my safety. Is this side any better? Nope, not really. Well, I apologize. But if you're looking on our safety, there's going to be a, there you can see, there's a bullet icon and there's an X. The X is safe, and the bullet icon is fire. When inside of the rifle, you want the bullet pointing upwards when installing it, pointing towards your optics. So this would be the top of the rifle. So this would go into the rifle like this. Okay. Let's see. Yep. And then so we're just literally going to wiggle this and slide this in. Now, the safety is reversible, and that is important to note. So this safety can be reversed by simply just pulling it out and rotating it and having the bullet on the right side, and that is designed for left-handed shooters. So, safety installed to the rifle. Okay, actually popped it out. And the easiest thing to do with adjusting the ball bearing is to drop it into the rifle. Rifle on safe. Thumb holding the trigger in place, and you would take a flashlight and shine it over and into the trigger like this. And then you're going to look into the buttstock of the stock. Okay, and with that flashlight shining into the front here and you looking into the buttstock, you will be able to see that linkage window, and then you can tell if you have to adjust up or down with the ball bearing. By simply taking the 1/8 Allen in through the top hole, you can adjust the ball bearing. By turning it right, it'll go down, which raises the trigger. Going left retracts the ball bearing, which lowers the trigger. You can make the adjustments while the trigger is inside of the stock, but I always prefer to remove the trigger just in case there's any binding or overhang on the stock and the trigger. You don't want to damage any of the threads, the fastener, or the trigger frame itself by doing so. So we recommend making the adjustments outside of the stock. Okay. These fasteners come with a nylock patch already on them, which is a dry locking compound for threads. If you make a ton of adjustments or you remove all of these fasteners multiple times, that eventually will wear off as seen here, and just simply apply another light coat of Loctite. So, safety is installed the same way that it's supposed to be from the factory. I'm gonna drop my trigger in. Cool, trigger is dropped in. Okay, I'm going to, without any Loctite on it, and if you have the dry nylock patch on it, that's completely fine. Start this by hand. We're going to leave the main screw out. So get that by hand, 2 threads out maybe. On safe, thumb over the trigger. We're going to install the linkage. We're just going to push that in through the rear so it goes into the stock. And we're going to stop about here. Okay? About 1/3 of the way into the trigger, we're going to stop. Now, it is important to note that this arm that you see moving right now, that is your bolt release arm. You want this to be pushed upward so the bolt release arm is down. That will allow the trigger pack to go in properly, and you can actually get interference inserting the linkage if this is up. You don't want to do that, so make sure that is down. So once that linkage, actually my linkage's fitment is pretty loose due to a lot of wear on my rifle. I'm going to slide this back out because it went in just simply by rotating the stock vertical. So with the linkage in the trigger like that, or linkage in the stock like that, 1/3 of the way into the trigger, we're going to take our trigger pack. If you're righty, use your right hand to do this. If you're lefty, use your left hand. Figure out whatever is most comfortable for you. So there's going to be a couple things going on at once, and this is going to ensure that this goes over pretty smoothly. First of all, this is your sear, this is your disconnect, this is your hammer. Hammer springs, sear springs, drop safety, little metal dude right here. And that's what you press to pull the butt pad, sling out, sling swivel, sling pin. And it's your bolt catch. This little arm that was inside the stock grabs onto this little nub, and that's how that works. So we're going to take our hand, we're going to push the sear forward. What we're doing is we're locking the sear forward so it cannot drop the hammer once we start pushing the linkage with it, because the linkage will hit this, and because it's locked solid, you won't have any issues. Now, it is important to note that with our left hand, or whatever hand you is your non-dominant hand, where you feel comfortable doing this, you're going to take your thumb, if you have a standard or a NATO, now with a bolt release, and you're going to push that bolt release up into the stock. Okay, remember, so that way the arm is down. Then we're going to take our fingers and we're going to separate the linkage. So that way, see how if you push one way or the other, it's away? You want to push it so both parts of the linkage are against the stock walls. And this will ensure that the linkage doesn't end up binding on your trigger pack. Okay, so separate that linkage, thumb up on the bolt release. Okay, and now we're going, as you can see, they're both against the thing. They're like, I want to say like guides for the linkage, what I'm going to call them, and pushing the linkage or the sear forward, we're going to insert the trigger pack. Okay, I'm going to try and get this all on camera. So as you can see, my linkage is against the trigger pack, and as you see, I'm going to push my right hand forward, this one. I'm going to push this forward while locking this sear forward, and you're going to see that linkage is going to get adjusted. Okay, and it's stopped. So right there, my linkage is stuck against the sear, and it is as far forward as it needs to be inside of the trigger to be tightened while still remaining fully in contact with the sear. So I'm going to leave my right hand here, and I'm going to pull my left hand off of the linkage. 1/8 Allen, and all I'm going to do is tighten this until it's snug. Bam, snug, that's it. Now we're going to take our main screw. We're going to take a singular drop of Loctite. That's all you need. Anything more is overkill. We're going to insert that into the trigger. We're going to push down, start those threads by hand. Once they're started by hand, we're going to finish tightening it. Now, if you do not have a fix-a-stick, again, and you're using an Allen, use the long end of the Allen, tighten it down, and a 1/4 turn is all you need to reach about the proper torque. Now, if you have a fix-a-stick, you can get a much more accurate torque reading with their little torque limiter, or torque gauge, I suppose. 1/8 Allen, and we're going to tighten this. Now, in case you don't know how to use one of these or read one of these, you simply tighten the fastener, and I'm going to have to remove it multiple times, just that way you guys can keep it in frame and see it. But as we tighten it, that line's going to move. We're at 15 inch-pounds, and that is all that needs. Now, as you can see, these white marks in here are my witness marks from the last time I installed this. It's pretty repeatable. You know, this is perfectly good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this front grub screw, since that rear screw is torqued. I'm going to add torque to this. This front grub screw is a secondary clamping screw, and it is not necessary to torque this as high as the rear screw. I used to torque it that high, but I found out that it is completely unnecessary. After speaking with Martin, he told me that it was originally designed for less than 1 inch-pound. So we are going to literally, or about 8 inch-pound. We're going to tighten this just until that line breaks off that 0. That's all we need. Cool. So now your trigger screws are fully torqued. As you can tell, I also put a witness mark inside of my trigger, and on my linkage, I have a witness mark on the front grub screw in the trigger housing and the rear screw. Now, we're going to reassemble this standard stock. This is going to be done. Put my sling stud in. Nope, put it in the correct way. Alright, so weapon is clear. We are on safe. No movement. Put it on fire. And that's fully tuned. So that is how you properly tune a trigger linkage, as well as install our trigger and safety.